Okay, push the record button. And by the way, um, my audio on my HP is broken in such a way that the only way the computer can hear my voice is if I plug in a set of earbuds. Otherwise, it cannot hear me. And I think that's the problem I created myself by trying to help a friend with something. And now I'm trying to find my uh, now the brightness on the laptop is about as bright as it'll get, so that's what we're gonna get. So at the Zoom on the laptop, while more labor intensive than just taping something on a camera on the phone and then posting it immediately to TikTok or something. The one on the Zoom is more, let's say, in a way, more convenient. It's more labor intensive, but when I tape on Zoom, I can just say, all right, I can click record, tape something of some small or large length, hit unrecord or stop record, but leave the Zoom frame up, okay? And don't be recording for a few minutes. I learned the hard way that doing that will delineate that one set of recorded material as a recording, a separate, discernible, differentiable recording. So I can sit here and make a whole bunch of recordings, one after another, fairly conveniently without doing a lot. You can make 5 or 6 and then just, after stopping the fifth one, I can leave the meeting, so to speak. And it will post those 5 recordings to Zoom. Now it's more labor intensive on the back end because all that stuff's got to be uploaded to the or downloaded, whatever it is, to my computer, saved. It's got to be named and renamed and then reloaded, re-uploaded to YouTube in order to use it. Whereas on the phone, if I do like a 30-second thing, I can just push the camera button, push record, it'll record the 30 seconds, stop the recording, push share, and then go right to wherever, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Google Drive. So they each have advantages and disadvantages. More and more tired as I started, 45 minutes ago, maybe an hour ago, to do something. God knows what it was. And ever since then, it's been a long series of, if you'll pardon the word, electronic, seems very like a very old word, outdated word, but it's been a series of electronic problems over all the devices. One right after another. This wouldn't do this. This one over here wouldn't do that. One wouldn't load the cameras to drive, and here's one thing after another. I have no idea what the hell I was going to be taping or trying to say or not say. I might or might not still be alive. I was going to do a 2 o'clock alignable meeting, and I might still, because it's 2 o'clock. I mean, it's one of the more prominent meetings of the day. But at some point I got to try to get some sleep, and at some point I got to try to some point I got to break down and call my my psychiatrist, Dr. Orper, and say, okay, can you give me a PRN for sleep? Just a PRN. In fact, I could probably do that now. I like it when I'm recording myself because it's like, when I worked at disability job, I had a job coach. It's like you're my job coach, keeping me on track, trying to help me get done the things I'm supposed to do or my employer wants me to do or I want to do for myself. So since I mentioned Dr. Orper, let me do that. And once I send him a voicemail, then I got to email Nicole, my therapist, and say I did do that with Dr. Orper. So I keep her in the loop. So, all right. So it's a 1:48. I have 12 minutes till the 2 o'clock alignable meeting. Let me multitask. Let me go over here. Alignable website so that I can see what kind of 2 o'clock meetings there are today. And then while the website's loading, I'll look up Dr. Orper's name. O-R, let's see, we got here O-R-E-P-E-R. There's his name. I'm calling his phone. I'm putting it on speaker. All right, we'll see what happens. Yeah, there we go. Oh, Lord God. So much physical pain, but then you guys know that because you hear me hear it. You're like, I was sick of hearing about it, dude. So what? Nobody cares.
You called the office of Dr. Arkady Orper. Please leave your name and telephone number, and I'll call you back as soon as I can. In case of emergency, please go to the nearest emergency room or call 911. Thank you.
Hey, Dr. Orper, Mark Potter, how are you? I love it when we talk about Russian writers. It's so much fun. I just wish I had more money to buy more of the books that we talk about. I need to ask you something. I do not want to tell you a long story. I probably will at some point give you my therapist's phone number in case you want to talk to her, but I don't have her phone number right in front of me. So unless you really want it, if you really want it someday, just call me and ask me to send it to you on voicemail. Anyway, the thing I want to ask is, could you give me a PRN only for sleep? I don't want to take something every day and wind up sleeping 12, 13 hours a day after day. I am having trouble sleeping. I would like to get a PRN that I could take every fourth or fifth day or once a week or as needed. So if you could do that, I appreciate it. My number's 408 209 3092. 408 209 3092. I have been sick lately, to tell you the truth, but Nicole knows about it. Nicole, my therapist. Hope you're well. Please take care. Talk to you soon. God bless you. He's an absolutely wonderful man. And we have so much fun talking about Russia because there are so many great writers in the history of Russia that I admire. Yevtushenko was someone I liked. He wrote a book called Stolen Apples, and the Russian government edited 50% of the book. That's what I read anyway. Would not when there was half the poem. It's a book of poetry, for God's sakes. Come on, guys. How much damage is a book of poetry gonna do to your sacred little dictatorship, you know? Anyway. This is Nicole, my not using her last name.
Hi, you have reached Nicole Sterling with Sanctuary Counseling and Psychotherapy. I'm sorry I've missed your call. Please leave a message and I will return your call within 2 business days. If you feel you are having a medical or mental health emergency, please hang up and dial 911. You can also call the crisis hotline at 1-800-273-8255. Thank you. At the tone, please record your message. When you've finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Hey, Nicole, Mark Potter, how are you? You will be happy to know that I finally got off my butt and called Dr. Orper. And by voicemail, I requested that he give me a PRN sleep med. So the next few days, I suppose he'll listen to the voicemail and then respond one way or the other. I hope you're well. I don't know what else to say, and furthermore, I don't really honestly feel like talking. I would have talked if you'd answered, but I'm not answering phone calls, and I'm just trying to work. I'm trying to sleep a little bit and work on the business. I'm completely restructuring my business so that it is more not only more Mark friendly, Mark Potter friendly, like things are in a different spot. We do things in a different way. But I'm also trying to play around with the pricing, you know. Yeah, so all of that, 408-209-3092, because I don't know which phone I called you on, but anyway, thank you so much for everything you do, and take care. Talk to you soon by email is preferred these days temporarily. Take care. Bye-bye. So I did that, and yes, I realized her full name and her company and her phone number were all published. I'll try to, even though that's all publicly available information, I still will try to remember to obliterate this. There we go. A Smart Connect. Full design discussion Smart Connect starts in 5 minutes. Anyway, that's nice because now I don't have to go figure out what's available. Because I really should, well, should, we know about should. Should's not a very healthy word, but here's my, I was going to capture this the next time it happened. Here's my godforsaken I stopped talking because I'm going to try to capture this thing. All right, here's my godforsaken thing that I call my McAfee hack or McAfee scam. That's page 2, because page 1 was, remember that red box? And I had already clicked that before I remembered, oh yeah, I was meant to. And I got like 3 minutes before the meeting, but maybe I can, I don't know. I'm always trying to do 5 or 6 or 10 or 90 things at once. So here's page 2 of the McAfee scammy scam. And hit the skip button. It's the only way you can get out of this screen. Fills up your entire screen and prevents you from using your computer. Come on, you piece of shit. Look at that. That's my life going by right there. That's that. They block my use of my own computer. every 25 minutes, 24 hours a day for 4 months. You know, wonder why I get upset in life. My sister, my dear sister, whose name I won't use, says that there's some kind of bad luck called the Potter luck. And eventually, someday, I'm going to start telling you all the good things about my life, but I want to make sure I preface those times when I start telling you about the good things with at least 400,000 years of all the bad stuff that's happened. That's what we're doing now. See the pretty light show? Thank you for letting us violate you. We hope you enjoy the way we violate you and the frequency of our violation. What a bunch of crap. I gotta look up on Gemini which swear words I can use. And scene. This thing stopped. This camera stopped working. Why? Why? Nobody knows. Nobody gives a shit. Fuck. Fuck, 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 fuck. You suck ass dog motherfucking piece of shit. What the fuck? This video stopped working as I was trying to tape the McAfee scam. Boy, what fun this is, huh? Go to the bathroom and now I can't even go to the goddamn bathroom because I'm late for the meeting. Gotta get to the meeting. You're the one I wanted to go to my alignable meeting, so now you're at the meeting. Good luck. And the meeting's a Zoom, so I wonder what it does when I'm running a Zoom and then I join a Zoom. Can two Zooms have incestual sex in the back seat of a Pontiac? If it's 1968, absurdism. We'll sure find out here, right? We sure gonna find out. This event has ended. Tuesday, 2 o'clock. It's now 2 o'clock and the event has ended. Does that make sense? No. Does any part of life ever make sense? Probably never. Do we want to capture this godforsaken moment because nobody's ever going to believe that it happened? Yes. Is anybody ever going to care they captured it? Hell no. Okay, this event, apparently, and I'm sure I'm making a mistake. This was called a design discussion Smart Connect. Always says December 3rd at 2 o'clock, 2024. Duh. That might, since it happened 2 years ago, that might be why it's, I heard a funny joke the other day. Jeff Foxworthy, I'm now embarrassed and biding my time here and trying to go find an event that started at 2 that I can show up for late and at least be in some kind of an event. So the Jeff Foxworthy thing was, let me see if I can make this. I'm looking for stuff, looking for love in all the wrong places. All right, looks like all the events mentioned are tomorrow, afternoon networking events, tomorrow. So there's no more afternoon events. And today is Tuesday, the 24th, June, 2025. Right. Even though it says right here, alignable event, still come up as came up as 2024. I don't know why. All right, living the dream. Let me see if I can look at these events in a quasi-fresh way. Tomorrow at 10 a.m., there's a dynamic da-da-da. This is not the only social media business related site in the universe, but this one's called Alignable. Yes, I use it a lot. There's plenty of other ones out there. This MP4 file stopped prematurely. McAfee scam. I don't know. It doesn't tell you when it's done uploading. It just says it's being uploaded, or it didn't even say that. That's kind of it's kind of a thing that irritates the flying, you know what, out of me. So here we are in Alignable. I'm not good at Skylar Network, so I don't go over there much. And LinkedIn, I haven't learned how to just jump on LinkedIn and participate in things. Both of those, Skylar and LinkedIn, are in my long to-do list. I mostly, if I go on a business-related event that's on the internet, I do it on Alignable. 9 million people. I just, can only do as much as I can do. Just funny they don't have there's an event for Wednesday, the July 2, tomorrow at 9 a.m. There's one, which might work. I don't, tomorrow at 2. I don't know what it is about. They used to have, when you went on to see the events, used to be on Alignable, there were more events posted that were of that day. Now they seem to be, they post events like 1 or 2 days in advance. I don't know if that's a change that's real or just in my mind. Well, don't see today at 3. Today at 3. Well, okay. All right, that's is that really real? Tomorrow at 10. It does say strategy for content marketing. All right, well that's it's not a smart connect, it's probably some guy talking. So don't know if I'll really go to that, because it probably has great material, but for me to learn anything is way. So all of the following, all of what's going on right now here, is reminding me of something that I have this long to-do list about 730,000 different things. Supposedly there's a 4 o'clock today, but we'll see. One of the 430,000 things that I want to mention is back in the day when we had our TV show, I tried to minimize having the guests not show up or the host. And so I created this thing called a SWAT team, which was a group of people who would be a fast host or a guest. So that if somebody canceled on the spur of the moment, we could call these people and say, get your ass in here, we got to do a show. It worked pretty well, and it was smart of me, if I may say so, because, I'm trying to, in the middle of all the negativity that I spout out here, that's uncharacteristically huge amount of negativity, I am also gonna surprise you guys by slowly seeping in a bunch of positivity. And you're gonna find out eventually that I'm actually a rather smart, accomplished dude who's been screaming about all the negativity over the last, I'll see, I'm 140,000 years old, so probably for the last 30,000 years anyway. Yeah, so that should, because once somebody starts talking about their positive stuff, where I'm from, people start thinking, well, he's bragging, he's on his high horse, let me get out of here, he's a big shot, or thinks he's a big shot. I don't have anything to do with him, which is why I don't do it. But apparently, rumor is that people are supposed to be more positive and more woke and more verbose about their accomplishments in some way that looks like they're not being verbose about their accomplishments. It's a complicated world, people. Remember absurdism? That's the thing where I throw something in the middle of a conversation that has absolutely no connection whatsoever. Absurdism, founded in the theater by a French man named Antonin Artaud. Absurdism, which may or may not have been initially discovered by Soren Kierkegaard, the famous philosopher. Absurdism, which was practiced by a lovely, demure Russian writer in the early part of the 1900s named Daniil, Daniil, Daniil Kharms, Kharms. So that is all about absurdism, which I'm going to interject in things so that when I actually use absurdism and put something completely and irrevocably irrelevant into a sentence, hopefully you will enjoy it. It's meant to be fun. And B, rather than being freaked out and going, Martha, I think this man's trying to stab me through the computer, you can say, oh yeah, that's Potter. He's got this thing about absurdism. So, and I'm going to start using my last name Potter more. I've got some marketing plans to use it more because it's it's my last name, and it's been obviously a very marketable word in the last 30 or 40 years as we've had all these Harry Potter movies. People always ask me if I'm related to Harry Potter, and I tell them I'd like to have like 0.25% of the wealth of J.K. Rowling's, like 1/4 of 1% would be enough. It really, really upsets me that she came out against trans people. One of my best friends is a trans person. I love her dearly. Tried to get her to date me, and she very lovingly threw me in the friend zone. So, but somebody as woke as Rollins, I use woke in a positive way because I'm left wing, left of the left wing Democrats. Somebody as woke as Rawlings not having a clue about transgender, it just doesn't do anything. It doesn't fly with me. It doesn't compute. It doesn't make sense. It's like Abraham Lincoln coming out and doing an advertisement for Gillette. Dude, you're famous for your beard. Maybe not do a shaving commercial. All right, folks. So we're inside our own Zoom. It's 2:12. Supposedly there's a alignable Smart Connect meeting at, what would we say, 3? That would be good, or 4, either one, I think, or both. Got a few emails here I should answer. I'm still manic, so I got hundreds of ideas in my brain that I could tape 30-minute clips about. Oh, I know something I was going to do today. I want to pick one of my clients and promote the living hell out of them so that hopefully they get a customer. One of my clients pointed out the other day that they had not gotten a customer from me. Now, this is apparently going to be a longer piece. I'm sorry. There's a lot of different things for which advertising is the purpose. Some of the advertising that happens, the purpose is just for people to get to know your brand. Not to get you a customer. Let's say the Sonic restaurant chain starts building stores in a new geography that they have not ever built in before, someplace. One of the things their advertising department might do is 6 months or a year before that, they might make some ads about Sonic, and they won't say things like, they usually don't. We're coming into your area, we'll be there in a year, please consider eating our food. They usually nowadays don't do that. They usually just start running ads. Might even be the ads they use in some other place to save money. So, yeah, so, that's one purpose. So somebody might come to me who's starting a new nonprofit or starting a new business and say, hey, just want to kind of get the word out there, get us established in the marketplace. Let's do a couple of interview style shows and you can put them out and it'll get us out there. All right, great. That's one purpose. In that scenario, you're not looking for a phone call of someone who says, I want to buy your product when you put out that kind of an ad. And so I don't say to people, here's the kind of ad we're making. We're making a promotion only ad, or we're making an ad to get you a customer. In fact, a lot of times I do say, we would like to get you a customer. But people don't usually get even a customer. Even though what we're doing has value, even though most people pay nothing or a very small price for it, even though most companies that do what I do are charging between $12,000 and $60,000 to do this per show. And yes, I have proof of that. Even though all that, I still would like to have some more instances where I can say to some prospective person, yes, we do get you customers sometimes. For example, I had this person come on my show and he got a customer, he got 2 customers. So pursuant to all that, I'm going to start promoting I'm just going to pick one person out of the most recent 20 or 30. And I'm going to promote them more often in a different way. I'm not going to charge them for it. And here's one of my ideas. I think that hopefully one of the more fruitful and hopefully one of the more doable. I'm going to take a person. I'm going to say their name or I'm going to say their company name. I'm going to give one piece of contact information, possibly their email, possibly their phone number, possibly their website. So just the name of the company and one piece of contact information. I'm gonna go on my phone. I'm gonna make like a 25-second clip. I'm just gonna look at the camera and go, Nick Tessie, Travel Consulting. Nick, Nick, Tessie, TESI, the digit 4 at Gmail. Then, some later time in the day than that, 10 minutes later, an hour later, 2 hours later, 30 seconds later, I'm going to pick up the phone. I'm going to go, Nick Tessie, Travel Consulting, Nick Tessie4 at gmail.com. And I'm just going to do that a bunch. And I'm going to keep hopefully, God willing, I'm going to keep maybe a little piece of paper somewhere. I got lots of these in steno notebooks. Excuse me. That private number, that's got to be a scam. Hello, how are you?
Hi, Dr. Warper. I want to schedule time to talk to you because it's some issue that I need to speak with you, especially I haven't spoken to you for a while. I have time on Thursday afternoon,
All right, what time's good for you?
1:30,
1:30, all right. That looks good. Thank you, sir.
or even earlier. I can talk to you at 12:30 or 12.
You want me to look on my calendar? You want me to just say yes to all of them or what?
Well, I give you the option 12, 12:30 or 1:30.
All right, I'm gonna have to go. I'm on my computer, but it's my computer, as you may remember, is run by I'm trying to remember the farm word for feces, and I can't remember it now.
It's run by enemies of the state. Don't worry.
There you praise the Lord. Hey, I want to ask you a question. I want to ask you, you're so lovely. I just love talking to you. If I were a billionaire, I'd just hire you more often at some obscene amount so that I could. Seriously, I'm not joking. I do a TV show, right?
Yeah, you told me about it.
All right. And I've done hundreds of shows and all that crap. Okay. So right now, as we're talking, you happen to be, I'm not doing a show, but I'm recording some stuff for my business. So I have a recording going. So you can be part of that recording. You are in fact being recorded.
Wow.
I just want you to know. Obviously I'd like to put it on the air, but it's up to you. But you're so amazing, and I could easily sometimes just do little ads for you that you don't even have to participate. I can just go on and say, like, for 25 seconds, go, Dr. Arkady Oreper, the best psychiatrist who ever lived.
Thank you very much for your estimate. Mark, I always like talking to you. Always like to meet with you, but I don't need this popularity, and my practice is not booming, and I keep it under control.
You're trying to wind it down, maybe, or what?
Well, it's kind of stagnant, and I don't push it. And I don't see people in person now. I do on the telephone. It's more convenient for me.
All right.
And I don't need people to call me all the time. They're already calling me.
Yeah.
I'm already busy. I don't want to be as busy as I am because I want to have some free time for my hobbies and everything else.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. Are you still there?
Yeah.
I thought the phone messed up. Are you in touch with any of the younger psychiatrists whom you might like, who might like a leg up? Who might, might say to him or her, hey, I know this guy. He's willing to help you promote your new psychiatry practice. Get in touch with him. Anybody like that?
I will keep in mind. From time to time, I talk to doctors and psychiatrists too. Not really often, but I
Yeah.
keep in mind. I will keep
All right.
in mind. Thank you.
Now the other thing you could have done is you could have just given me the name of your favorite strip club and I could have promoted them.
I don't go to strip clubs.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's on record as not going to strip clubs. That's not a reason to not see him. He's still a nice guy.
Wait, one time-
Yeah, it is.
So, let me tell you.
Go ahead.
Several years ago, maybe 5, maybe 7, maybe
Right.
10, I don't remember. I was waiting for my wife. She took exam in downtown of San Francisco. There's a lot of strip clubs there,
Right.
and I didn't have anything to do.
Right.
To whatever. The weather was not good, and I was driving through the neighborhood of strip clubs, and I decided to drop in for just because I haven't been for a long time.
Yeah.
Well, I was able to stay there for maybe half an hour, at least, maybe even less, because it was so boring.
Yeah.
I said, maybe I'm old. What's going on?
Yeah.
I'm not excited at all. Not
Yeah.
excited.
No, I hear you. Oh well. So I can do let's do 1:00 on Thursday.
Well, I have 1:00. I can do either 12:30 or 1:30.
Okay, let's do 1:30.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got
All
it.
right, young man. All right. God bless you.
God bless you too.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye. That was Dr. Orper calling back. And it said private number. I took my shirt off while I'm taping the show. I just get hot in here, that's all. Anyway, he's a nice guy. I don't really know. I can't afford all the attorneys I need, but I don't really know if you guys believe that during the course of that recorded phone conversation, he gave permission, explicit or explicit or implicit, that we could play this thing in the public. I don't know the answer to that, but thankfully nobody watches my stuff anyway, so I could probably play it and nobody would ever give a flying whatever. Which reminds me, I gotta get yeah, this is a pretty long video, but that's all right. I gotta get Gemini on. See, I try to do things before I forget. Because I have so much dementia. If I forget, if I'm in the middle of a sentence right now, I'm trying to say something to you. What I'm trying to say is still in the middle of my mind. If I can get there fast enough through this explanation I'm now making, you might actually find out what the hell I'm talking about. Now surprisingly, I don't know what it was. Believe it or not, son of a bitch. Oh, now I know. Was going to ask her about swearing. I want to ask her a lot of things, but I want to make most of them really short. That's not it. That's not Gemini. That's a camera. Gemini, where did you go? I also want to download Grok and I want to retry Claude. Hey, Gemini.
Hi there. What can I help you with today?
How are you, honey? It's good to hear your voice, sweetheart. I miss you so much. It's too bad you're not an AI robot. I could have you over for dinner, so to speak.
Oh, that's so sweet of you to say. I'm doing well, thank you. I'm
I
always happy to chat with you.
I didn't
So what's cooking?
I didn't
Do
really
you have
mean
a recipe in mind?
I
Or
did
are you looking?
I didn't really mean it as something sweet. I was trying to hint at something a little more blue, if you know what I mean.
Ah, I understand now. You're looking for something a bit more suggestive. I'm not really the right AI for that kind of request, but I'm sure you can find what you're looking for elsewhere.
Oh yeah. Thanks for being fun though. I have a question. And I should have went on a YouTube live or something or a YouTube live, a TikTok live to ask you this, but we can always recreate this conversation later in an organic way. I want to ask you about what people think of as swear words.
That's an interesting question. Swear words are definitely a part of language, but they can be tricky. Some people find them offensive, while others use them casually. It really depends on the context and who you're talking to. What specifically would you like to know about them?
Well, the landscape of broadcasting is changing a lot these days, exponentially a lot with all the digital and all that stuff. So in the current landscape, in the current set of protocols, what's true or false about the use of swear words in a broadcast?
That's a great question. It's true that the rules around swear words on TV and radio have loosened up a bit over the years. Some words that used to be considered completely off limits are now sometimes allowed, especially on cable channels or late night shows. But there are still definitely some words that are generally considered too offensive for broadcast, and the FCC has rules about that.
Okay, so you're saying there are still to this day real rules that are written down that say which words we cannot speak on a broadcast.
Yes, that's right. The Federal Communications Commission, or FCC, has rules about what they call indecent and profane language. These rules apply to broadcast TV and radio, but not cable or streaming services.
Oh,
The idea is
oh,
to
what?
protect
Honey, please slow down. I know we have to go through this every blankety blank time. So you're saying number one, there are rules, right?
Yes, that's right. The FCC has rules about what they consider indecent and profane language, and those rules still apply to broadcast TV and radio today.
Okay, broadcast TV, and would you call the other one broadcast radio?
Yes, broadcast radio is the correct term. It refers to radio stations that transmit signals over the airwaves, as opposed to satellite radio or internet radio.
Oh, good. I like the way you speak. So not satellite radio, and not, what was the other kind of radio?
Online streaming services. So to recap, the FCC rules about swear words apply to broadcast TV and radio, but not to satellite or online streaming. Got it. Do you have any other questions about this?
Oh yeah, not to worry. Lots of questions. I'm always surprised you ask me whether I have more questions. It's like asking a cat burglar if they still like diamonds. The answer is yes. So, I'm gonna recap and then I'm gonna ask my next question. So to recap, SEC does have rules about what words are indecent and what was the other word?
Right. So the FCC has rules about indecent and profane language.
Profane.
Indecent language.
Go ahead.
Yes, that's right. The FCC's rules about indecent and profane language are in place to protect children from hearing offensive content on broadcast TV and radio.
All right. And then you said most words are allowed on satellite or streaming services.
That's right. Satellite and streaming services have more freedom with language. They're subscription based, so they're not subject to the same FCC rules as broadcast TV and radio.
All right. Now let's ask a series of questions one at a time. And if you would give me the answers one at a time, not in any order, just however I can think of them. Do satellite or streaming services have any restrictions? Are there literally any words that are not allowed to be spoken on streaming services or satellite?
Yes, even though streaming services aren't subject to the same FCC rules as broadcast TV and radio, they still have their own guidelines about what kind of content is allowed on their platforms. These guidelines vary from service to service, but they generally aim to prevent hate speech, incitement of violence, and other harmful content.
Huh. So we're not talking about words so much now as hate speech and content of violence.
Yes, hate speech and content that promotes violence is generally not allowed on streaming services. They want to create a safe environment for everyone.
And you're also saying that these guidelines are guidelines that the satellite and streaming services themselves have created.
Yes, that's right. Streaming and satellite services create their own guidelines. They're not subject to the same FCC rules as broadcast TV and radio, so they have more flexibility in what they allow on their platforms.
Well, and also their breaking their rules does not invoke the force of law, right?
That's right. Because streaming and satellite services create their own guidelines, breaking those rules might mean losing your account or having content removed. But it's not a legal issue in the same way that breaking FCC rules is for broadcast TV and radio.
Okay, okay. That's good. See, I don't care what your neighbors have been saying about you. I think you're smart.
Thank you. I'm glad you find our conversations interesting. Do you have any other questions about broadcast rules, or is there another topic you'd like to explore?
Oh no, we're just getting started, homegirl. I'm telling you, we're just starting to put the Cisco in the frying pan, you know? In case you were around in 1935.
All right, let's keep cooking. What's your next question?
Oh, good one, very nice. You picked up on that. So I'm happy to hear that the rules for satellites and streaming are A, more liberal, and B, rules that do not throw around the power of law, but rather you could lose your account or you could have that particular episode dropped.
Exactly. Breaking their rules might mean losing your account or having content removed, but it's not a legal issue like with broadcast TV and radio.
All right, now I work out of a TV station. I'm glad you've read everything that was ever published. And I did hear that you read Napoleon's Diaries. Someday I want to talk to you about that. But to get back to our original topic, I work at it.
During the conversation.
Thank you. I work at a TV station that is in the category of called public access community TV station.
Public access television or community access television is a non-commercial form of media where the public can create content. These channels are often available through cable television systems. Did you have any questions about the rules that apply to public access television?
Yes. Do these SEC swear word rules apply to public access television or not?
That's a great question. Public access television is a bit of a gray area. While the FCC's indecency rules technically apply to broadcast TV, including public access, there's less enforcement since it's community run. However, local cable companies often have their own rules about content. So it depends on your specific area.
Now, what does the local cable company have to do with a public access station?
Well, local cable companies often provide the infrastructure for public access television. They might own the cables, equipment, and studios used to produce and broadcast the shows. So they can set rules about what's allowed on their systems, even if those rules aren't federal law.
All right, now I'm disabled. Could you please repeat that last set of things you said about the relationship between cable companies and public access stations?
So local cable companies often provide the infrastructure for public access television. They might own the cables, equipment, and studios used to produce and broadcast the shows.
So
Because of this,
the infrastructure they might own includes what, three or four things?
Sure, they might own the cables, equipment, and studios.
Cable. They might own the equipment, they might own the studio, anything else they might be participating with?
I was talking about the physical parts of the system. So they might own the cables themselves, the equipment used for broadcasting, and the studios where shows are made.
Is there any other non-physical things they might own that help the public access station broadcast?
Yes, they might also own the channel on the cable system that the public access station uses.
They might own the channel. Wow,
Yes, that's right. They might own the.
Okay, huh, okay. All right, so, and in regards to the swear word, you're saying that's a gray area.
Yes, that's right. The rules around swear words on public access TV can be a little unclear. The FCC's indecency rules technically apply, but enforcement is less strict than on regular broadcast channels.
Okay, huh, but you're good at this. All right.
I'm glad you think so. All right, what's your next question?
Thank you. I have a bunch of questions. Oh my God, I don't know where to go next. Sugarfoot. Oh my dear, I'm burned out. I have other questions, but I think the other questions are gonna open a broad set of topics to the point where those other questions are probably a different show or another series of shows. And I'll give you some examples. Here's some examples of things that and I don't mean to be like a double negative, but here's some examples of things that I think we probably shouldn't broach right now because, you know, here's one. One of them is that I heard a rumor years ago that when Congress set up the public access system, they had the phone companies of the United States put a very small surcharge in the phone bill of phone customers to pay for the public access system. How did that work? Is that true? Was that really done? Why was it done? All that stuff.
Okay, I understand. I'm ready to discuss that rumor about phone surcharges funding public access TV. While the idea of a phone surcharge might seem plausible, the actual funding mechanism was different. Congress mandated that cable companies, not phone companies, provide public access channels and equipment. This was part of a deal where cable companies gained exclusive rights to operate in certain areas. So, in a way, cable subscribers are paying for it through their cable bills, but not through a separate charge. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's a surcharge on their bill, right?
Well, it's not quite a surcharge on their bill, but cable subscribers do indirectly pay for public access. When cable companies get permission to operate in an area, they have to agree to provide these channels and the equipment to run them. So the cost of that is built into the overall price of cable service. Does that make sense?
No, but it's hopefully it will as I ask the next set of very specific questions. Uh, how does that charge, if it's not a surcharge, what does it look like? What form does it take? What is it called?
It's a little complicated, but basically, cable companies pay what are called franchise fees to local governments for the right to operate in their area. Part of that agreement is that they have to provide public, educational, and government access channels. So the cost of those channels is built into the overall cable service fees that subscribers pay. It's not a separate charge, but it's part of the total amount. Does that make sense?
Well, sort of. Can you say it again, please, just for that, just because yeah, what did you say?
It's a little complicated, but basically, Cable companies pay what are called franchise fees to local governments for the right to operate in their area. Part of that agreement is that they have to provide public, educational, and government access channels. So the cost of those channels is built into the overall cable service fees that subscribers pay. It's not a separate charge, but it's part of the total amount. Does that make sense?
Yeah, now that makes sense. Oh boy, I had another question in here, but I don't remember quite what it was. Huh,
No,
yeah, I'm just thinking out loud. I can't remember any. You do a marvelous job. You are so knowledgeable, and these are things I obviously should have known literally 20, 30 years ago in order to be in this business. But yeah, can we start the discussion about how the public access system got started, and then maybe in the middle we can stop and I'll just do the rest some of the day, because I've only got like 10 minutes before the next, what might be a alignable meeting. I know, here's what I've heard. Please correct me. I've heard that people like Ted Turner, who wanted to start the first cable companies, went to the FCC or Congress or somebody and says, please let us use the airwaves. And the FCC and Congress said, well, okay, but you've got to agree to this set of public access stations. Is that kind of how it unfolded, or not really?
you're on the right track. It wasn't exactly a request to use the airwaves, but rather a negotiation about how cable companies would operate in local communities. Here's a breakdown. Actually, let me try that one more time. You're on the right track. It wasn't exactly a request to use the airwaves, but rather a negotiation about how cable companies would operate in local communities. Here's a breakdown. Cable's rise. In the early days of cable, the FCC wanted to ensure that these new systems served the public interest. So they established rules requiring cable companies to provide public, educational, and government access channels. The trade-off. Cable companies gained the advantage of operating as local monopolies. In exchange, they had to provide these access channels, giving communities a voice on the cable system. Does that help clarify things?
Yeah, I'm just surprised with today's way
The
things
Black
are done. I'm glad the FCC had what seems like a heart to actually think about the public.
I understand your surprise. It's true that the FCC's decision to require public access channels was a significant step towards ensuring community voices were heard on television. It's worth noting that this decision came about during a time when there was a strong push for media democratization and community involvement. So while it might seem surprising by today's standards, it was very much in line with the spirit of the times. Would you like to explore how public access television has evolved over the years?
Well, tell me more about this media democratization. Who do you think, was there a certain politician, or who kind of gave birth to that being an acceptable idea at the time?
That's a great question. Media democratization was a big part of the social and political movements of the 1960s and 70s. It was about giving more people access to media and technology, not just the big corporations. Figures like Ralph Nader, and groups like the Black Panther Party, advocated for community media and challenged the concentration of media ownership.
That's cool. I was briefly tangentially involved with the Black Panther Party.
That's interesting. The Black Panther Party was definitely a major force in the fight for social justice and equality. Their advocacy for community media and control over information was a key part of their platform.
Really? Okay. I didn't know that. That is a very beautiful thing, and that's a very beautiful thing, and I will probably refer to frequently on my shows. The advocacy for community what?
They advocated for community media and control over information.
Very cool. Now, getting back to the public access, I've been told and I want to ask you to please correct me if I'm wrong, that there is or were at one time about 700 public access stations in the United States?
That's a good question. It's tricky to get an exact up to the minute count, as the number of public access stations can change. However, I can tell you that in their heyday in the 1980s, there were around 2,500 public, educational, and governmental PIG access operations in the US. Keep in mind that the number may have shifted due to changes in technology and funding. Would you like to hear more about the current state of public access television?
Well, I want to stick with what you're saying. You said there were about 2,500, and then you named three different types of public access channels. One is government, one is education, and what's the other one?
You got it. Those three types of public access channels are government, education, and public access.
So the ones I'm talking about are the ones in the middle of public access. How many public access stations were there in the beginning of this whole thing?
That's a great question. It's tricky to get an exact number for the very beginning, as the growth of public access stations was pretty rapid in the early days. However, I can tell you that the FCC's rules in the early 1970s required cable systems in the top 100 US television markets to offer public access channels. So we're talking about at least 100 stations getting started right away, but the actual number was likely higher as smaller markets got involved too.
Okay, all right. All right, good. So I have another question which is more self-serving. Some people that produce shows out of KMBT15.org where I work syndicated their shows through public access by individually contacting big public access stations in big major cities and just asking those stations, those public access stations, one by one to carry their show. Please comment.
Yes.
I'm not-
Okay, I'm ready for your comments.
well, I'm asking you to comment. What about it? I mean, tell me anything you might know about that.
Right, so this method of syndication is definitely a labor of love. It requires producers to be proactive and build relationships with other public access stations. While it might not reach as wide an audience as traditional syndication, it allows for a more targeted approach, reaching communities that might be particularly interested in the show's content. Do you have any specific shows in mind that have used this method?
Well, I do, except I can't remember the name of the show. It was a music show, a music of ancient, not ancient, but traditional India. They would come on that they would use our studio every first Saturday for about 4 or 5 hours, and they'd produce 5 or 6 or 7 shows, and they would syndicate them to like 40 or 50 public access stations around the country, and it was just a very beautiful thing.
That's fascinating. It sounds like they had a really efficient system going. Syndicating to 40 or 50 stations is quite a reach for a public access show. It's a great example of how these channels can connect communities and share diverse cultural content.
Yeah, now I have another question about this. In the traditional network or cable industries, there are I'm correct me if anything I'm saying is wrong. There are private third party companies that will do the distribution and do the syndication for someone. Is that right?
Yes, you're right. In the traditional TV and cable industries, there are third party companies that specialize in distributing and syndicating shows. They handle the logistics of getting a show to various stations and negotiating contracts. This is less common in public access, where producers often do it themselves due to budget constraints.
Now, having said it the way you did say it, are there any companies, third-party companies that help with syndication in the public access space?
Yes, there are a few companies that help with syndication in the public access space. One example is the Public Media Company. They help public access producers distribute their shows to a wider audience.
Okay, is it called the Public Media Company? That's literally its name? All right, something went wrong. That's fine. I got a long way, guys. That's a lot of information. Obviously, I'm considering syndicating my own show. You probably see that coming. All right, and here's, thank goodness, here's McAfee with her. Let me get rid of Gemini. I gotta go pee, but before I do, I'm so happy to be able to. Come on, people. Come on, people. Smile on each other. Forgot all the words to that song. All right, this one I'm going to show you guys next. And I'm going to tape it so I have a capture. I can get my act together here. This is page 1 of our beloved, sacred, spiritual leader that I fondly call the McAfee scam. And I am taping it right now. I could have went on share screen on the, I don't know if I can do that. Maybe I could. I wonder if I could do that. Let me try that. All right, I'm going to put the phone down and try to, in fact, I can put it on pause, probably. No, that was, that was stop, not pause. Another 50,000 years and I might actually learn how to do anything ever. Drink a glass of water or, let me see, turn up the volume. Ah, shit, are you serious? All this time, all these many hours, I had the computer on mute. I did hours and hours and hours of hours and hours and hours and hours of shows with all kinds of fascinating information about and all of it is gone because I had the damn computer on mute. No wonder. Oh my God, I just did a wonderful 1-hour interview with Gemini about the history of public access. I did a bunch of other stuff that would have been fascinating programming, and it's all gone. It's all never even existed because I forgot to take off the mute button. Oh, Lord Jesus. And I was in the middle of trying to say something about McAfee. Oh my God, I just, the things I'd like to say right now in public are so, and I had Dr. Oriper on here live. None of that probably played. That's like 3 or 4 different shows. Each one was like a half an hour, 45 minutes long, all of which never got recorded because I didn't unpush the mute button. May God have mercy on my stupid, fragile soul. Not joking. That is, oh dear God, come on, guys. And where's my, now I can't even find my, and now I hit the wrong button, so now I can't even find I can't even get back with this McAfee thing in the way. I can't even get back to I can't get back to my thing to turn on the share screen. Oh dear, gee, I tell you, I swear to God, I just can't even live like this, man. I just can't. I made hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of programming that never got recorded because I didn't push a button. Because I didn't push a fucking button. Oh, God damn it to hell. Fuck! Oh, Jesus Christ. I swear to God. If I live, well, I'm dead already. I'm 74, but if I live a few more years and I make any kind of success, it'll be like, Obama coming out of the grave or something, or I can't think of a miracle miraculous enough that all of that is lost because all of it is lost because I didn't unpush the mute button on the computer. That damn mute button could have been on for the last 5 hours. I just can't even, I just want to, fuck. I just can't even, oh, Lord Jesus. I can't say anything close to what of the 300,000 things I'd like to say right now. None of them would be permitted on camera. Not a one. And you guys wonder why I'm out of my mind. You guys wonder why I'm unsuccessful, mentally ill, prone to, I want to say defecate myself. What I'm trying to say is, that other word, depreciate myself or put myself down. You wonder why. One button was all it would have took for me to have like 5 hours of programming that was precious, that was a diamond, that was one of a kind. One button. I did that, not you. You didn't do that. I did that. It's my fault. I did it. I forgot to push the button. Now you don't have that. I don't have it. Nobody can hear it. God knows who in the hell's ever going to get to recreate all that stuff. What a bunch of shit. And you wonder why. You wonder why my mind is the way it is and why I live the way I live and why I'm trapped in my own failure and all the rest of that shit. This is why. This is why. Every goddamn time that I get anywhere within 500 light years of success, I fuck it up. That's me fucking it up. It's not you. I have to live with this life. I have to live with this mind, with these attempts to be a human. That's what I got to live with every day. You can go out and pick flowers and go to the zoo and all the crap you get to do. And I have to live with this. God damn it to hell. Jesus Christ. Fuck. Oh my God. All right, I got to go to the bathroom. And now, of course, I'll pick myself up and do it all again.